In this video, I'm going to cover off 3 different devices. 2 of them are phones, one of them's not even a phone, that I think are really going to help if you're looking for a potential smartphone for your kid. I was recently sent an article about the best child-friendly smartphones on the Times website, and I just think they've got so much wrong. My name's Joseph, I'm a stand-up comic from the UK, and I look at dumb or more intentional tech on the UK market, and I feel like I've got a pretty good knowledge in this area. Every single phone that they had tested and suggested on this article all came with a monthly subscription. Now, I fully appreciate parents are busy people, and some parents feel like they might be arguably left behind a little bit in terms of tech. But that doesn't mean that you need to outsource that and be paying, in one case, £99.50 a month to have a phone that could be suitable for your child. And I know that it can be a bit scary out there, and there's lots of things going on, and kids are brilliant at finding ways to bypass and get round restrictions and things like that. I'm pretty confident the phones, and in one case, the non-phone that I'm about to show you, are pretty good in this area. So just while we're on the Times article, the first phone that they suggested was the HMD Fusion F1. Now this phone comes with the price tag of £299 for the device and then a £5 rolling monthly fee. The second device they suggested was the Pinwheel phone, which is getting a lot of love online. But again, cost-wise, this costs £479 to get the device and then has a £13.99 monthly fee. And the final one they suggested is the Sage phone. I haven't tested the Sage phone. All I can talk about is the £99.95 monthly cost of this device. What? I just think there are devices out there that are going to be able to achieve what parents would like to achieve with a little bit of help from myself and other places on the internet. I think we can get you there for much cheaper. Let's get on with the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. It helps me, it helps you, it helps the channel. It means I can do more videos like this. The other thing, if you subscribe, it also allows me and helps me to do my Substack, which is where I write about this sort of stuff. And I think, again, if you're on this channel looking at this stuff, I think you'd enjoy it. I try and make it funny, being a stand-up, and I write about nostalgia, and I write about phones. And I think it's a lovely place to be. We've got a lovely community over there at the moment, and there's also a giveaway on a Vortex V3 phone. So if you head on over there, you'll see that, and it'd be lovely to have you. The first device that I'm going to showcase to you is the Unihertz Jelly Star. This, believe it or not, is a full Android 13 phone. So, left as it is, this phone is no different to having an iPhone, apart from the size of the device. You can see that it's absolutely tiny. So there is an argument there that because of the small screen, it's not going to be used as much. But that isn't where I'm going to leave you. I'm not just going to say it's a small screen, you'll be fine, off you go. This comes with something called student mode, which is brilliant. It's really, really good, and we're going to delve into it a bit more. Before I do, I should cover off the price, because I've been so price focused on everything else. This will set you back £165, give or take, with a bit of postage and packaging, but often there's an offer for that to be free. You can also get it direct from Amazon if that's something that you'd be interested in. So £165 for this, kind of half price for half a phone, really, if you're looking at it that way. But we're going to hop into student mode now, because I think that's very exciting for parents and something that could really, really help out. So I have done a full and comprehensive review of this device where I used it for a month, and the video is here. But what we're going to focus on is more specific for children who use smartphones or parents who are looking at children's devices. So right now this is completely unrestricted. Every app that I have on here I'm able to access. I can log on to the BBC, I can go on to BBC Sport, and I can read everything. I can go on Spotify and I can play whatever I want to play on Spotify. In fact,
you're energetic. Honestly, you'll be impressed with him, lads.
There we go. I can basically do whatever I want on this device. At the moment, this is just an Android 13 phone, just in a much smaller screen. I haven't suggested it just because it's a small screen. The reason I've suggested it is because the Unihertz Jelly Star comes with something that I really like installed. So if I swipe up from the bottom here, I can scroll down, and just here you can see student mode. Now student mode is brilliant. It comes for free as standard on all of these devices, and what you do is you set a PIN for this device. Once you've typed in your PIN, that opens up the student mode portal, and to turn on student mode is very simple. You turn it on just by clicking that button there. That is now on. And what student mode does, it restricts access to all applications. So if I come out of this now, you will see those apps that were colourful to start with now don't work. This app is not allowed because I'm in student mode. There are apps that are allowed. So currently, that's Messages, Google Chrome and Play Store, but that can be changed very quickly if I hop back into student mode, and every time you go into student mode, you ask for a PIN. So if you have set this PIN, only you can access and turn this back off. I can hop into application and I can turn on the apps that I want to be visible. So if you think it's important that you have access to Google Maps, you can turn that back on. You can come out of student mode, and you can see Maps is now accessible. The other great feature of student mode is once turned on, you can disable the network. So whenever student mode is on, you can have it set that the network doesn't come on at all. I don't personally want that. And then the final thing I like is site restrictions. So right now in student mode, I have it set that BBC is not accessible. So as student mode is turned on, I'm going to head to Google Chrome. You can see I'm on a comedy website here, and I'm going to attempt to go to the BBC. What will happen, or what should happen, is this site does not load. It fails to be reached. There we go. Student mode has blocked me from accessing this website. So I think that's really good. I think that's a really nice, neat feature that comes with this device. Obviously, right now I've turned on Maps, I've turned on Play Store and Chrome. If you really want to lock it down, hop back into student mode, into whitelist management, and I'm going to turn off Chrome, I'm going to turn off Maps. There we go. They've been turned off. One thing is worth noting in student mode is that the Play Store is still accessible. So within the Play Store, I've loaded up TikTok in case that might be something people want to install. The great news is that once you click install on this, it slowly goes through the install process, but actually it doesn't work. It doesn't install TikTok. We'll get an error that you'll see here. Can't install TikTok, videos, music and live. So while we are in student mode, that doesn't work. That's just a quick showcase of the Jelly Star device and the brilliant student mode that it has. You can curate the apps that you want to be blocked. You can disable networks when it's running. You can set site restrictions. I think it's a really, really good feature on this device and something that isn't going to cost you the earth. So I would suggest the password is something that you, the parent, guardian or carer know, and you can enable student mode and you can turn off student mode. I think that's a great way to use this little device. The second device I'm bringing you is a Google Pixel 7. And again, you might be thinking, what am I watching? But this is a reused Google Pixel 7 running Sleke OS. Sleke OS is a locked down operating system where you can only download applications from their curated store. And the curated store only contains applications that help with communication and that help with getting on with daily tasks. There's no way around that. There's no installing and sideloading applications. There's actually no browser on this device. You have your search function here and you type in your search. What should we search? Latest Fulham score. And you search the web for it. And you'll see it generates the answer for you. It says, Fulham's latest completed match was a 1-0 win against Eintracht Frankfurt in a club friendly. So it gives you all the information you need. Maybe children might be searching for something to help with their homework, probably not Fulham related, but there is no accessible browser on this. There is a workaround to open a browser or scan a QR code, which I will show you when we go in depth on this in a second. But again, I think this is a really good option if you would like a child to have a full smartphone. This is a recycled Google Pixel 7 with the Sleke OS. Cost-wise, you might be wondering, how much is this going to set me back? It's a full-on smartphone. Well, right now, this device is £335 with no subscription charges. There's nothing to pay after you've paid that. That includes the device as well, so you can pick up a Google Pixel 7 second-hand for about £200. And so therefore they're charging about 130 quid, roughly 135, to add the additional layer of OS on that. And I would say, at the moment, as somebody who's been driving this fairly regularly as my phone, I think it's a really good contender, and we're going to dive deeper into it now so I can show you a bit more about it. We're moving on to the Sleke device. Great news with this is that there are only apps within the Sleke App Store that are going to allow us to communicate and sort of get on with our daily life. As an example, there is a transit app in here that finds all of the local buses and tells you how they're running. In this instance, we do have Spotify. so we can listen to music. So I'm just going to hop into the Sleke store. This is a curated store. To get an app installed on this, it has to meet Sleke's ethos, which is only being used as a communication app or a tool-based app that will get a job done. So you can see on here the apps that they have access to. So let me search for something like, as an example, we don't have TikTok on this device. One thing we do have is Password Manager, as an example. So we have applications on here that are going to be useful, that are going to allow you to get stuff done. I believe there is a Life 360. There is a Life 360 app on here. So again, you would go through, you would install that. You have the normal Life 360 app available on your device. To get an app installed, to get an app added to this, you would send an email to the guys at Sleke and they would add it to the list as long as it meets their conditions and criteria. And the great news is you have applications that your children might require for, say, accessing homework, but then you're not going to have, there is no way in which they can install TikTok or Instagram from this device. So I think it's a really good option. We have Beeper, and within Beeper you can have all of your chats linked up to your direct messages of Instagram or your WhatsApp, but you don't actually have to have the application on the device. So you can still be in contact with your friends through Beeper, but you don't have to have the device that's going to take up your time on there. So I think it's a really good option, this device. It also, as it just runs in a Google Pixel phone, it's got a great camera. This is the nuclear option for not having any social media. And right now, it's a very good option. I did mention in our introduction that there was a way to get onto a browser. And as an example, if you make a note, which I've done with a URL, I can click open and I can go to the latest reviews, and I can actually click through and read reviews like this. I can go back. If I were to try and click on any of these social media side of things, so let's click Facebook, it's got thousands and thousands of websites pre-blocked for you. So any website you can think of that's going to be time sapping, it's blocked. There is a workaround to get the browser working, but there is so many blocks in place direct from Sleke themselves, and I do think this is a really good option. The final option I have for you is not a phone at all. It's a brick device. This is a very simple device. This sits on my fridge, on my radiator. It can sort of go anywhere as a magnet, and it's an NFC chip. And what you do is, if you have a normal smartphone, and what I say when I mean a normal smartphone, if you have an unrestricted iPhone, what you would do, you download the brick app, you tap it on here, and then it blocks applications for you. I've got videos that go into this in much more detail. They go into it in much longer, more in depth, how to set it up, the pros, the cons of this device. And so we will go into a little bit of depth here, but this is a great option. If your child is desperate to have a smartphone and you're in a position where you think, well, actually, I'd like them to have a smartphone, but I'd like some sort of restrictions. Perhaps you're not that tech savvy. This could be the device for you, because blocking websites through Apple's sort of own ecosystem, if we use iOS as an example, is quite difficult, and there are ways around it. There aren't many ways around it. Price-wise, this is going to set you back for one, £45, so relatively cheap in the scheme of things. For two, I believe there's a discount, so I think it's about £70 for two of these. And I think it's a really good option if your child already has a smartphone that you want to not necessarily restrict, but manage is probably a better word. This can restrict applications, it can restrict websites, and it really does lock down a device pretty well. As you can see here, I've just got a normal iPhone, and I'm going to brick it so that it strips out the current applications that I don't want to be available for me while I want to focus on something. You can see there that those applications are now no longer accessible. And if I hop into the settings of the brick device, you can see that I have 5 emergency unlocks. And once you've used those 5 emergency unlocks, you're done. There is no way to get around it. How I think this device could work really well with a child who has a smartphone is in the morning before school, you tap the device. So when they're at school, you've set it so that certain apps are restricted. And then when they get home, maybe you can tap the brick and say you've got 30 minutes to spend time on your phone. You bring the brick out, fun thing to say, and they can tap the brick, use the device, and then when they're done, they tap the brick again. You know, somebody could say that they've bricked their device and they haven't. That's very easy to check. You hop into the brick app and you look at the activity and you can see how long it's been bricked for. So arguably, you can sort of check and see whether they've actually been bricking it. You can only brick 50 things at a time at the moment, so if they have hundreds of apps and you want to block every single one, becomes slightly harder and something to note. But I do think that's quite a good way to deal with this brick device. And for £45, the level of blocking on a device it gives you, and the fact that you don't have to spend loads of time in Apple's settings, setting up loads of restrictions, and if somebody finds a workaround, finding another way to restrict them, this could be a really good option. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please like, please subscribe, please share it. I'm sure there'll be other parents out there who maybe don't spend their time checking these things on YouTube, and I think they would find this information useful, because not only should it save you money, comparing it to the Times article at least, it should also save you time, and it also should give you that peace of mind as well. Any questions, please do pop them below and I'll try my best to answer them. And as other things come out onto the market, other phones with restrictions that are more predominantly aimed at children, I'll keep my eye on that market as well, and I'll update you as and when the things arrive. Behave yourselves, have a lovely one. Enjoy the weather. It's so hot in the UK at the moment, it's so hot. And when I say hot, for international viewers, it's 32 degrees Celsius. That for us, that's way too hot. Bye.